welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and today we're going to continue reading books until I get a 5 stars. So I have been a little demotivated lately with reading or just reading books that I want to read. I'm only making time for books that I have plans to read in vlogs and stuff like that. I'm not really reading what is needed, what will make me happy. So I've seen a lot of people do this vlog idea on YouTube, and essentially it's just reading through a list of books that you think, or I think rather, are going to be 5 stars. So because I don't know the trajectory of this vlog, I don't know how long it is, it's a mystery to me. We're going to start off with The Library of the Unwritten by AJ Hackwith. This book came out in 2019, I feel like. In 2020, February 2020. Whoa, throwback. And everybody was really enjoying this one, and it just sounds like something that I'm going to really enjoy. Basically, all the unwritten stories that authors have created have a special place in hell that is overseen by this woman named Claire. Claire is the head librarian, and along with just organizing the library itself, she's also tasked with making sure that the restless characters in the books stay within their books and don't escape the library. However, a character named Hero does escape his book and does escape the library in search of his author. So Claire is therefore tasked with trying to find him, chase him, capture him, and what should be a simple retrieval turns into this grand adventure. So it just sounds so good. I really do think I'm going to give this 5 stars, and if I do, you'll know because this video is short, but if I don't, we'll just get on to the next book. So let's get on this adventure and see how I feel. Hello. So I have gotten 130 pages into The Library of the Unwritten by AJ Hackwith, and I'm really enjoying this. So far we've only really discovered what's in the synopsis. So we have this librarian named Claire. One day she is tasked with finding a character who's escaped named Hero. What ends up happening is that ends up not being the entire plot of the book, which I think is really fascinating and a nice twist to what I was expecting to read. Basically Claire and then Hero and then a nervous demon courier named Leto and her assistant Brevity go on an adventure. I don't know how to describe this. Basically, when they were looking for Hero, they discovered something else, and they have something in their possession that heaven wants. So in terms of the Library of the Unwritten, they live in hell, and this is going to be a contrast or a fight between heaven and hell, which I think is really interesting. I love that. That is one of the reasons I really like Good Omens, because it shows that heaven has their own needs and wants, and they're not necessarily the epitome of perfection or goodness in the world, and that hell has its own values and morals and stuff like that, which I always think is a really interesting discussion to have. Leto so far is my favorite character. I really like him. He is a nervous demon, but there seems to be more to him than we expect. There's a lot of suggestions that Leto isn't exactly a demon, and we're gonna see how that part of the story develops. Hero is a really interesting character. I wasn't expecting to even know this character in any way. I really like the band of heroes that we're dealing with right now. I'm excited to see how the story develops from here. I think I'm going to really enjoy it, and if it has a really nice moral message, it could be 5 stars. Maybe this might be a 1 book vlog, but it's giving me what I need. I have sushi on the way, so I'm going to end this vlog up here, going to eat my sushi, and then potentially continue this later tonight. So I'm basically in the last third of the novel. I've reached page 260, and at this point we're learning a lot more about the rules of the library, the rules of the librarians, and also about all 3 of our main well, 4, I guess if you count Hero, of our main characters. There's a lot of suspicious things going on in regards to them, a lot of secrets that we're just slowly developing. Where we are right now, they are in a realm that is warded against heaven and hell, and they're only allowed to enter upon the recommendation or suggestion of someone that lives in the realm. This is the realm that has the papers that are needed for the oracle thing that they're sort of searching for, both heaven and hell, and they were allowed in based on a unwritten character that our main librarian Claire wrote and helped escape. So we're learning a lot on that front, and that's been a really interesting aspect of the plot. But I can tell you that at this point I will be finishing the book, but it's not going to be a 5 stars. While I'm enjoying it, while I really love everything and I love the messages, I just think that there are some aspects of the plot that I'm not really privy to. We'll see how I feel. I mean, I do definitely still have 150 pages left to divulge in, but we're going to see if it does pull me at the end with maybe more emotional notes. Like, I mean, if I cry, usually I give a book 5 stars, so we'll see if it makes me cry. That is my update for right now. Obviously, I don't want to get too much into the plot because this is a spoiler-free vlog. It's basically just to see if I get a 5 stars. I am currently planning on cleaning up my office a little bit because this is also going to be the baby's room. I'm not going to show you my office, but it is a disaster. I need to get this cleaned so we can start like setting some things up. Hello, so I'm coming to you because I finished the Library of the Unwritten and I really enjoyed my experience with it. So Hackwood's writing style probably made this a bit more fun and special of a read for me. It made the book feel really mystical. At the beginning of every chapter there was like a little like learning from the different librarians that have worked in hell in the Library of the Unwritten. So I love that because it added a bit of world building while also developing on Claire as a character, and you start to pick that up towards like the middle and end of the book. However, I really feel like the characters are what made this book for me. I was a little apprehensive with our main character Claire in the beginning, but she quickly grew on me as she started to open up her heart to her little found family, which I thought was so cute. Brevity, Leto, and Hero are probably among some of my new favorite characters that I've read from this year, and they really warmed my heart for like a book that's essentially about hell. It felt very wholesome and sweet. Overall, I think the plot was probably the most weakest part for me, but that's not to say that it was boring at all or even convoluted in any way. I found the premise to be really interesting, and there were some parts of the book that were like twisty and kept me engaged, so it's really just in comparison to the characters that made the plot feel a bit weaker. Overall, I would highly recommend this book. I really liked it. I can't wait to pick up the second book, but it wasn't a 5 star. It ended up being a 4 stars for me. So that means that this video continues and we pick up our second book, which is The Incendiary. I keep messing up how to pronounce this. I have to like really like look at it. The Incendiaries from R.O. Kwon. So this is a cult book, which I'm very excited for. I love cults. They're like a buzzword for me. I usually end up enjoying any book that surrounds cults. But this follows 2 characters, Phoebe and Will, who meet in college. And Phoebe is recently dealing with the death of her mother that she feels like is sort of her fault. So as she's like grief-stricken, she ends up joining this cult tied to North Korea, which is founded by a charismatic former student of theirs in university. And Will is struggling because he wants to help Phoebe and he enters this cult with Phoebe, but he's starting to notice it feels very similar to this religious upbringing that Will has. I'm excited. It has terrible reviews. It has a 3.2 on Goodreads, which is not good, and from the reviews I see, a lot of people give this 2 stars. I'm hoping that the cult aspect and whatnot will make me enjoy this a bit more, and I'll end up giving this a 5 stars, but we'll see. It is quite a shorter book compared to Library of the Unwritten, so I'll probably update you at the middle point and then at the end, and we'll see what rating I give it. Hello, so it is currently 5:30. I just took a shower and I think I'm going to finish this today. So I do want to give an update because I am about halfway through the novel. I'm waiting for some Korean food, so I'm very excited to eat. Figured I'd update you before the food gets here. Where we're at right now in the novel, I would definitely describe this as a more quiet novel, which if you know me, I'm sorry, my flyaways are getting me so nervous right now. Which if you know me, you know that that's an aspect that does not deter me from a book. I love when nothing happens. Truly, I love just sitting with words and thoughts of characters. Like, it enamors me. And I know I said like, oh, the plot in the Library of the Unwritten didn't captivate me as much compared to the characters. And here you're like, oh, there's no plot at all. So like, obviously you're not gonna like it that much. I'm a woman of many complications up here. But where we are in the book, we're slowly learning about our 2 main characters, Will and Phoebe, and like how they ended up where they are in college, what is leading up to an obvious like event with this cult like leader. And we're also exploring like his story and sort of, I guess, how he got into this like cult like thinking and why he might be doing the things that he decides to do. But we don't know really anything like negative about the cult. Obviously, just like being in a cult like mentality is a negative on a person's like psyche, but like if we're thinking about like criminal activity, nothing crazy has happened yet. However, we do see Phoebe really struggling with the not only the death of her mother, but also her identity crisis and trying to find herself, and thus falling into the arms of both Will and John and these conflicting personalities she sort of has with the both of them. I'm enjoying it. I think it's really interesting. I'm excited to see how the next half of the novel is because I did find the first half to be really captivating. I read it all today upon finishing The Library of the Unwritten, so I would not be surprised if I can finish this by the end of the night. Hello, so as predicted, I did manage to finish this book today. A couple of hours later, and I come to you, unfortunately, to say that this was not a 5 stars. I wanted to love this so much because it has like all of the buzzwords that I love: cults, no plots, religious trauma. Unfortunately, I think there was just something here that fell flat for me, and I just can't quite pinpoint it because like throughout reading it, I really enjoyed my experience. You last saw me, I was really loving it. I found Kwan's writing to be really profound, and I really enjoyed the prose overall in this novel. I love the way Kwan toys with perspectives in this one. While you do get like 3 perspectives, I think she does something really, really interesting with the way that they are read to you. As mentioned, the plot is really thin. I talked about it before that I don't need a plot. Like I like when books don't have plots and they're just an exploration of a character's thought process. I really enjoy that within a book. I love like just meandering with characters, and I didn't need the plot because I just really liked exploring our 2 characters and the reasons for why or why not they would join a cult. However, when the plot did start to happen, and I completely forgot about that aspect of the blurb in the back, I just found it to be weak, and I felt rushed in comparison to the really slow and methodic like beginning portion of the book.
Now that I've spent some time away from this book, I do want to also mention that there is a like very vague sexual assault scene that happens between our characters that made me really uncomfortable. Partly because I didn't feel like it belonged, and second of all, I don't feel like it added anything to the book. So it just made me really, really uncomfy. And here I don't mention it, but I think that that really added to my overall like more minute and negative feelings towards the book. So I just want to add that here as like a trigger warning that there is this event that occurs in the book as well.
So I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I still enjoyed it, but it just wasn't the 5 stars that I really, really was hoping it was going to be. And now I'm struggling to pick our next book. So we have The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. This is sort of reminding me of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. We have like a recluse author who wants someone to write her story for the first time, and we don't understand why. But the rating for this book is lower than a 4. And based on the strategy right now, I don't know if I want this thick of a book to potentially not be a 5 star. Maybe this can be one I cherish for another day, because I'm fairly certain I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman is a book that I'm going to really, really enjoy. I think I'm going to pick this one because I really, really do feel like this is going to be a 5 stars, where I'm not 100% certain with The 13th Tale. This is about 39 women who are kept deep in the ground, and they're watched over by these guards. They don't really have any memories of how they got there. They only have vague recollections of where they were before. And this story follows the youngest girl, who is number 40, and she is the key to the others' escape and survival in a strange world that awaits them above. I heard about this book because of Emily Fox. This is one of her favorite novels, or her favorite novel of all time. I'm thinking I will probably really enjoy this, and I think that this is the one I'm going to select. Here's hoping it's 5 stars. Hello, so I had a pretty late start this morning just because I got some pretty devastating, it's not devastating, I got some news that I have gestational diabetes due to my baby. While it's not the news I wanted to hear, I really wanted to be okay. It's just scary a little bit, just because I've never had to deal with this. I've always been really, really healthy. Even throughout this pregnancy, I've been working out like at least 3 times a week, and I try to walk at least every day. So it's just been hard. So I took the day off from work just because I knew that taking it off will help me feel better rather than spiraling in meetings and being pissed that I'm in a meeting when I'm pissed off, when I could just take the day off. So that's just what I did. I did get to 50 pages into I Who Have Never Known Men. This is where I'm going to update you because the book is only 188 pages, and it's a very stream of consciousness type of novel. There is no chapters. It's just our main character talking. And what's really I think interesting so far in the book is because the book is called I Who Have Never Known Men, is sort of not really true, because essentially the guards that keep them in their cage are men. So she does know them. But I think what this is trying to tackle is like a woman who has not been raised, so to say, in the patriarchy, but there are still elements of the patriarchy that still affect her, even though she hasn't grown up in a patriarchal society. So the men still control them in this cage. That in and of itself is a more literal example of the patriarchy keeping women down. So that's one. And then two, the women in the cage with her sort of upkeep this idea or sense of women's roles within the patriarchy despite not having them, because they are being controlled by these guards. So they still like expect to cook and clean. They're not allowed to touch each other or explore each other's bodies. Not that they have inclined in any reason to do so, but it's just, I think, implied by the fact that they can't touch each other, they can't comfort each other. So all these things that are more women focused, like sympathetic, are squashed by the sort of patriarchal guards that are in the room. What I think is really interesting is that our main character, number 40, is starting to explore these ideas because she's reaching like adolescence, and she has all of these questions, and she's starting to wonder like, what is it about why they're there, what is happening to them, how much of time has gone on, are sort of these questions that she's starting to like ask herself and the women around her. It's a very, very interesting book. I can't say if it's going to be 5 stars, which is a little frustrating, but I do think that the conversations that it's having and the topic that it's discussing is interesting enough that I would potentially end up giving this 5 stars based on how the discussion prolongs and what's the conclusion at the end of the novel. So I'm going to focus on this. I'm not going to stress myself out just because like I said, I've been having a really rough morning, and I don't want to let it affect the way I feel about this book. So I'll do my best, and I will come update you probably later. Hello, I am indeed back in bed. I had a really busy day with work today. Like, look at my eyebrows. Clearly, I was haggard. And it is now 11 p.m. I'm just slowing down. So I figured I would go into this book and see how I vibe, see how I feel, and like perfectly wind down for the day. So I just wanted to update you while I'm doing that. But it will likely be a more like concrete update tomorrow if I do finish it tonight, but I'll likely finish it tomorrow. Hello, so I just finished I Who Have Never Known Men, and objectively, this is a 5-star book. I think what it's doing, what it's discussing, the like more philosophical nature of the book is 5 stars. Did it do anything for me emotionally? Not really. So I can't come on here and like objectively be like, this is 5 stars, it was amazing. Unless, so here's the thing, I'm going to cheat a little bit. And if you see this, you'll know I cheated. But like, I think in my head, this is a 4.5 stars, which is so close to 5 stars, which is why I'll cheat if the next book is not a 5-star. So like, really, this is a 5-star. It just didn't give me the emotional punch that I needed. However, an author that gives me emotional punches, Becky Chambers, my queen. This is a short novella called To Be Taught If Fortunate. I find Becky Chambers's novellas to be amazing. I really do think that this might be a 5-star. This was like my last resort book. And if this is 5 stars, you'll see, I'll admit I'm a cheater. So in the future, instead of terraforming planets to sustain human life, explorers of the galaxy transform themselves. At the turn of the 22nd century, scientists make a breakthrough in human spaceflight. Through a revolutionary method known as somaforming, astronauts can survive in hostile environments off Earth using synthetic biological supplements. With the fragile body no longer a limiting factor, human beings are at last able to explore exoplanets long suspected to harbor life. Ariadne is one such explorer on a mission to ecologically survive 4 habitable worlds. She and her fellow crewmates sleep while in transit and wake each time with different features. But as they shift through both form and time, life back on Earth has also changed. Faced with the possibility of returning to a planet that has forgotten those who have left it, Ariadne begins to chronicle the wonders and dangers of her journey in the hope that someone back home is still listening. And I just think this is going to be amazing. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to read this now. It's short. It's only 135 pages. Like, I could definitely get this done today. So we're going to do it. And we're going to see how it prevails. I come to you bearing excellent news because we did get a 5-star read in To Be Taught If Fortunate. So let's get into my final 2 reviews for the last 2 books I read. I come to you admitting I'm a cheater, but you know, the point of the vlog was to have fun, and that's what I did. So first, let's talk about I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. So this is a really quiet and desolate book that looks at what it means to learn and slowly what it means to become a human, whether that's biologically, philosophically, socially. I found this novel really interesting because it's examining all these questions about what it means to be human while not answering anything at all. And it is the point of the book because you're following a young girl who is growing up in a world with humans that are similar to us, but she is not being socialized in a way that is similar to us. So therefore, she does not have the same like curiosities about the world and like their position in where they are in this apocalyptic sort of planet. So I think that that can come off a little frustrating, especially in the beginning. But I really enjoyed the prose. I think Hartman did a really excellent job at pairing this more simplistic prose with different curiosities and oddities about the world. I think what was slightly disappointing to me is that I found this to be confusing due to our main character, and I was a little unsatisfied by what was explored. But again, like, that's the point of the book. It's supposed to be like these more philosophical questions and less about a more thrilling plot in a sense. The last sentence of this book is absolutely jarring, and I feel like there's a lot more to this novel that I'm not giving it credit because I feel like this is a book that I need to sit with and think about for a really long time and possibly reread in the future in order to like fully appreciate what Jacqueline Hartman did here. So overall, I gave this 4 stars. It was still excellent. There was just a little bit about it that was unsatisfying, but again, that's the point. And now we can move on to the final book of this vlog, which was To Be Taught If Fortunate. I did not give an update for this because as I was reading it and tabbing it, I just knew that this was going to be a 5 stars. It's only 135 pages, so I didn't really see the point in updating when like we all know that this was going to be a 5 stars, you know? I just remembered that I filmed myself crying. So besides that one update of me crying, I was looking for a 5-star read and I just knew that Becky Chambers could provide. There's just something about a Chambers novella that makes me cry every time. I'm always amazed by her like profound themes and prose while also being paired with a really like realistic look at what our futures could be in these sci-fi novels. And her writing always makes me believe in these worlds and believing in like a hopeful future, which I feel like is something that I've needed to read this year. This book made me feel a joy for like learning, discovery, and science, and just having that hope for the future and having that belief that everything will be okay. I think this is the perfect novella if you're needing something a little uplifting while also still being realistic. Highly recommend. Obviously, I give this 5 stars, and that means that the vlog is over. So let's just go over the ratings one more time for the book. We had The Library of the Unwritten by AJ Hackwith, and I gave this 4 stars. It was definitely a really fun new fantasy series for me to start, and I'm really looking forward to reading more from this series. Then we had The Incendiaries by R.O. Kwon, which I gave a 3.5 stars. Really interesting discussions in this one. I just think it felt a bit flat for me. Then of course, I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman, which I gave 4 stars. And then our grand finale, To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, which is the 5-star read. So that's it for this vlog. Please let me know down below what you thought about this vlog. Did you like any of these books? Did you hate any of these books? Please let me know. Of course, if you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And of course, because it is the end of the vlog, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. I tell you every time, but it does wonders for my channel. It makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things, so I will see you in my next video, okay? Bye!